Caracola, a regenerative nursery for air, ecology, and children in Marina del Pratforme. Children experience the city through air. Before they understand streets, buildings, or infrastructure, they experience temperature, sound, light, pollution, and atmosphere through their bodies. In Marina del Pratforme, rapid urban development, traffic infrastructure, industrial remnants, and increasing heat conditions create environmental stress that disproportionately affects children and families. The project Breathing the Block investigates how architecture, ecology, and urban systems can work together to create a regenerative nursery environment that filters pollution, reduces environmental stress, and reconnects children to natural cycles through everyday spatial experience. Rather than treating architecture as an isolated object, I approached the project as part of a larger living system operating across territory, ecology, community, and atmosphere. To understand the site, we must first look at the history of the Llobregat River and Marina del Pratforme. Historically, the Llobregat Delta functioned as a productive agricultural landscape, shaped by water systems, fertile soil, wetlands, and ecological diversity. The territory operated through regenerative cycles. Water nourished crops, vegetation stabilized the landscape, and ecological systems supported human settlement. Over time, industrialization transformed the delta into a fragmented infrastructural territory dominated by roads, logistical factories, and hard urbanscape. As industry expanded, ecological systems became disconnected, natural water cycles were interrupted, green spaces became diminished, heat accumulation increased, and air pollution intensified. Today, Marina del Pratforme represents a rapidly developing district positioned between the industrial infrastructure and a new residential growth. This condition creates both challenges and opportunities. The project asks, how can architecture restore the ecological relationship within an urbanized environment? How can a nursery become part of a larger regenerative system? Research focused on the relationship between air quality, childhood development, accessibility, and environmental stress. Children are especially vulnerable to air pollution because they are physically closer to vehicle exhaust and are developing cognitively and physiologically. Research also demonstrates that access to nature improves concentration, lowers stress, supports emotional development, and strengthens social well-being. At the same time, many contemporary urban environments disconnect children from ecological systems through the heat islands, limited vegetation, traffic exposure, and privatized public space. This creates a condition where environmental inequality becomes spatially embedded into daily life. The city itself becomes difficult to breathe. The project combines fine-grained urbanism, phenomena design, and regenerative ecological thinking. Rather than designing only at the scale of the building, I focused on the scale of an everyday experience, walking, playing, resting, learning, and gathering. Becoming interested in architecture as a sequence of atmospheric conditions. This led to the central concept of the project, the city as a living filter. In this framework, vegetation, water systems, building envelopes, courtyards, and public space operate together to slow, cool, filter, and regenerate the urban environment. Ecology is not treated as decoration, it becomes infrastructure. Biophilia became central to the project because children form early emotional and sensory relationships with the environment through direct interaction with nature. Trees, planting systems, filtered daylight, water, shade, airflow, and natural materials all contribute to healthier psychological and physiological environments. Vegetation also performs environmentally. Planting systems can help reduce particulate matter in the air, provide evaporative cooling, reduce urban heat accumulation, soften sound, create habitat, and improve pedestrian comfort. The project uses layered vegetation systems as environmental filters positioned throughout the site. Green corridors extend through the district and connect the nursery to larger ecological networks. The nursery becomes part of a chain of cool islands and refuge space distributed across the neighborhood. These green corridors reconnect fragmented urban conditions while supporting both ecological and social regeneration. Cross-laminated timber, or CLT, was selected as the primary structural system because it aligns with the project's environmental, spatial, and sensory goals. CLT reduces embodied carbon compared to conventional concrete construction and supports prefabrication, efficiency, and adaptability. But beyond sustainability metrics, CLT creates a warm tactile environment that is especially important for early childhood spaces. Wood changes the atmosphere of a room. It softens acoustics, reflects warm light, creates sensory comfort, and establishes a closer relationship between the building and natural systems. Structurally, the CLT system allows the project to operate as a porous environmental framework rather than a sealed object. The building opens at the ground level to create shaded thresholds, cross ventilation, and continuous movement between interior and exterior spaces. Roof structures extend outwards as a protective canopy that collects rainwater, provides thermal shading, and supports the project's regenerative water cycle. The structure itself becomes part of the environmental performance of the project. The project is organized around several key strategies. The first is environmental filtration. Vegetation buffers and porous public thresholds reduce exposure to heat and air pollution at the street edge. The second is courtyard as a clean air reservoir. At the center of the nursery, planted courtyards create stable microclimates where children experience filtered light, cooler temperatures, and direct relationships with nature. The third strategy is regenerative water infrastructure. Rainwater is collected from roof canopies, stored, and redistributed through irrigation systems that sustain planting throughout the site. This restores a visible environmental cycle inspired by the historical hydrology of the Llobregat Delta. The fourth strategy is community integration. The nursery is not conceived as an isolated institution, but as a part of a neighborhood ecological network. Public shaded areas, pedestrian pathways, cooling zones, and planted corridors support families and residents beyond school hours. A major part of the project focuses on phenomena and sensory experience. I explored how architecture can shape the feeling of moving through the site over time. Morning light filtering through vegetation, air movement across shaded courtyards, warm timber surfaces reflecting daylight, children moving between indoor and outdoor learning spaces. Rather than separating architecture from ecology, the project merges environmental performance with sensory experience. The goal is not only environmental efficiency, but emotional and atmospheric well-being. Ultimately, Breathing the Block proposes a regenerative nursery where architecture acts as environmental care infrastructure. The project reconnects childhood development with ecological systems while addressing air pollution, urban heat, and environmental fragmentation. By combining CLT construction, biophilic systems, public space, and regenerative water cycles, the project transforms the nursery into both a learning environment and a catalyst for broader urban ecological repair. In a rapidly urbanizing district, the project asks how can architecture help cities breathe again, and how children might grow up not separated from nature but deeply connected to it through everyday life.